Okay, so we are taking a look at SAT 7, the reading section, passage 3. So if you haven't yet read this passage, I would encourage you to pause the video now, go ahead and read it on your own, and then come back here. I'm just going to be running through a few details and a few techniques that I'm using as I'm reading. I'm not going to be super in-depth on this passage. So definitely pause the video now, go and read it yourself, and then come back and we can discuss. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do when I'm looking at this passage, before I dive into the actual content of it, is I'm going to observe this note up here. I notice it says, "Why Birds Fly in a V Formation" as our title, and it's from the American Association for the Advancement of Science. That's going to help me keep in mind what is the overall topic here, and what is the tone, right? This is a scientific paper in Nature. So that's helpful for me when I'm thinking about the language that they're using. Now, moving into this first paragraph here, I'll probably underline this second sentence because it is a really clear expression of that title, right? Why birds fly in a V formation. It's for this reason. But beyond this sentence, I don't get a lot of hard-hitting information in this paragraph. So I'd probably write for my main idea, just intro. This lets me know that we're easing into the passage, but we're not getting a lot of big information here, or really important details quite yet. Now, moving into our second paragraph, I'm going to underline this the second half of this first sentence here, again, because it relates so closely to that main idea of why birds fly in the V formation. I'll also probably put a box around James Usherwood's name down here. I like to do this for any name that I come across when I'm reading a passage. The reason being that if on the off chance I am asked a question about a specific person like Usherwood or David Lentink or Ty Hedrick later on in the passage, I should be able to really quickly find that name without wasting too much time. The way I do that is by putting boxes around them to make them really easily searchable when I'm going back to the passage as I'm answering the questions. Now, in terms of a main idea for this paragraph, I know we're talking about birds, I know we're comparing them to planes, and I know we're not exactly sure if they go together. So I use a lot of shorthand when I'm writing my main ideas. So I'm probably going to write something along the lines of birds equal planes with a question mark at the end. This says to me, all right, we got a comparison between these two going on, and we're not exactly sure how it works out. Now, taking a look at paragraph 3, I'll probably put a little circle around this italicized word here. Again, just calling that information out to myself in case it becomes important later. Other than that, we have a lot of really specific details, but no broad ideas here. So I can probably get by with just a main idea and without too much underlining, because I don't want to spend too much time trying to summarize a bunch of small details. So I might write something like study methods here, and that lets me know if I need to know more about this study, I can take a closer look at this paragraph in particular, and it will have information that I need. But I haven't spent a lot of time trying to say, oh, it has this many birds, and this is how big their wings are, stuff like that. Now, if we're looking at paragraph 4, again, I'm noticing Usherwood's name is down here, so I'm going to throw another box around that, again, just making my life in the future a little bit easier. Now, I also, as I was reading, this first sentence really jumped out at me. Anytime this happens, I always just underline the sentence in case it becomes important later. You know, I try to trust my instincts as much as possible. And if something jumps out at you, chances are it's important for some reason or another. So why not just underline it now and circle back to it a little bit later rather than wasting too much time on thinking, is this important? Is it not? I'm not entirely sure. Now, if we're thinking about a main idea for this paragraph, I would probably write something like flight technique. Again, this stays general, but also lets me know what kind of information I can find in this paragraph should I need it later on. So again, not too specific, but specific enough that I can sort through everything in this paragraph should I need to on a question. Let's go up to the 5th paragraph up here. All right, I'm noticing Usherwood's name again. Now, if he keeps coming up, I might stop boxing him, because if he's like the core thinker of this passage, there's diminishing returns in terms of me always underlining his name or always boxing it. It becomes harder to do that searching that I'm talking about. Now, in terms of the main idea of this paragraph, I think it comes right out at the top, right? We see other long-winged birds, pelicans, storks, geese, smaller birds, right? This is a paragraph about other birds, so I'm going to write just that, other birds, and what I can find out about them in here. Now, as I move into our 6th paragraph, I mentioned him before, but we have David giving us a quote now. So I'm going to throw a box around his name, again, to make it easily searchable should I need it for a question. But this paragraph, besides being his quote, there's nothing else besides that quote. It's one sentence long. Now, it might be important, it might not, but I know that if it is, they'll probably mention his name. So I'm not going to put any sort of main idea here besides just saying, you know, if I need to know about this paragraph, check it out. It's a quote from David Lenting. Now, as we're moving into paragraph 7, there are two things that I notice when I'm reading this paragraph, is that there are some things that we still don't know, and then what we're going to do to find out about those things, right? We see do not know here. We have future studies in the middle there. So I'm not going to get too complicated with it. I'm just going to write exactly that as our main idea, right? Future studies, and maybe I'll put /unknown underneath that, just to say, right, there are some things that we don't know in here, but there's also some steps that we're going to take in the future. Now, we can jump down to the last paragraph and our final box for Ty Hedrick. And similar to paragraph 6, this paragraph doesn't really go beyond a quote from Ty Hedrick. So again, I'm going to leave a main idea off. That's a strategy that I'm choosing to do to save myself a little time, relying on the fact that if they're asking me about this quote, they'll probably mention Ty Hedrick by name. And with that, we have fully annotated this passage. So with this all done, all of our boxes input, all of our underlines in, all that's left is to move on to answering some of the questions.